What would you do if you fell in your home, couldn't reach your phone, and no one was coming to check on you for days? This terrifying scenario happens to thousands of seniors living alone each year. But today, I'm sharing 5 proven emergency techniques that could literally save your life. These aren't complicated medical procedures. They're simple, practical methods recommended by emergency responders specifically for independent seniors. The third technique is something 93% of seniors don't know about, yet emergency professionals consider it the single most important skill for anyone living alone after 65. Last winter, Martha, a 72-year-old from Minnesota, slipped on her kitchen floor and couldn't reach her phone. Using one of the techniques I'll share today, she was able to get help despite being unable to stand or reach a telephone. The methods she used required no special equipment and took less than an hour to set up. Emergency Technique 1. The 10-foot rule. Why are the first 60 minutes after a fall or medical emergency the most critical time for your survival when living alone? This isn't just a frightening statistic. It's a reality that emergency medicine specialists at Johns Hopkins have documented extensively. According to their research, seniors who access help within the first hour of an emergency have an 80% better recovery rate than those who wait longer. This golden hour concept has been well established in emergency medicine, but most seniors haven't adapted their homes to account for this critical time frame. The difference between getting help in 10 minutes versus 10 hours can literally determine whether you recover fully or face permanent disability, or worse. Richard, an 81-year-old widower from Oregon, experienced this firsthand when he placed emergency contact devices every 10 feet throughout his home. When he experienced sudden chest pain in his bathroom, he was able to alert emergency services immediately despite being unable to stand. Contrast this with his neighbor Gerald, who fell in his kitchen and spent 38 hours on the floor before his scheduled grocery delivery person found him. The difference wasn't luck, it was preparation. Without strategically placed emergency contact options, you risk being stranded for hours or even days, dramatically reducing your chances of recovery or survival. CDC statistics show that for every hour a senior spends immobilized after a fall, the risk of complications increases by approximately 12%. Implementing the 10-foot rule means ensuring you never have to crawl more than 10 feet to reach a phone, medical alert device, or alternative communication method in any room of your home. Begin by mapping your house and measuring the distances between your current communication devices. In most homes, this reveals dangerous, dead zones where help would be inaccessible during an emergency. The solution is surprisingly simple. Strategically place cordless phones, cell phones, medical alert devices, or even inexpensive personal alarms throughout your home so that no matter where you are, help is within reaching distance. Focus particularly on high-risk areas like bathrooms, stairs, and between your bed and bathroom, locations where falls most commonly occur according to research from the National Institute on Aging. Don't wait until you're in an emergency situation to realize you can't reach help. Set up your 10-foot rule system today. The entire process takes less than an hour, but could mean the difference between a brief hospital visit and a life-altering tragedy. Remember that every 10 feet of distance between you and help represents precious minutes in an emergency situation. Create your safety map now and identify where you need additional emergency contact options before you ever need them. Emergency Technique 2, the floor-to-standing recovery method. Did you know that over 60% of seniors who fall cannot get back up without assistance, even if they're uninjured? This startling statistic from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons reveals a dangerous reality. Many seniors lack the specific physical technique needed to safely rise from the floor. What makes this particularly concerning is that the longer you remain on the floor after a fall, the greater your risk of dehydration, pressure sores, pneumonia, and hypothermia, complications that can transform a minor fall into a life-threatening situation. Even more concerning, research shows that many seniors injure themselves worse trying to get up improperly than they did in the initial fall. Physical therapists from the Mayo Clinic have developed a specific floor-to-standing technique that uses your body's strongest muscles and minimizes strain on vulnerable joints. This method has been clinically proven to allow most seniors to safely rise from the floor without assistance, even those with moderate mobility limitations. Susan, 75, practiced this technique weekly, and when she fell in her garden, she was able to safely return to standing without injuring herself further. Without knowing how to properly get up from the floor, you risk further injury, exhaustion, and potentially spending hours or even overnight on the cold, hard ground. The National Council on Aging reports that falls are the leading cause of fatal injury among older Americans, not primarily because of the fall itself, but often due to the complications that develop while waiting for help. The floor-to-standing recovery method involves 4 specific steps that must be followed in sequence. First, roll to your side by pushing with your arms and moving your body as a single unit to prevent twisting your spine. Second, push yourself up to hands and knees, keeping your stronger leg forward. This position provides stability while distributing your weight across 4 points of contact with the ground. Third, crawl to the nearest stable piece of furniture, something heavy and unmovable like a sofa or sturdy coffee table. Finally, position yourself to rise by placing both hands on the furniture, bringing your strongest leg forward in a kneeling position, and pushing primarily through this stronger leg while using your arms for balance rather than lifting. This technique uses the strongest muscles in your body, your thighs, rather than placing dangerous stress on your wrists, shoulders, or back. Practice this technique today while you're not in an emergency. Your future self may depend on it. The American Physical Therapy Association recommends practicing this movement sequence at least once weekly, ideally with someone nearby during initial practice sessions. Start with a soft surface like a carpeted floor or exercise mat. Physical therapists emphasize that this skill, like any other, requires practice to become automatic in an emergency situation. Don't wait until you're in pain, frightened, and possibly injured to try figuring out how to get up from the floor. Emergency Technique 3. The Neighborhood Safety Network. How long would it take someone to notice if you needed help but couldn't call out? This question isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to highlight a critical gap in most seniors' emergency preparedness. Research from the CDC shows that seniors with established safety check systems are discovered an average of 27 hours sooner in emergency situations than those without such systems. This dramatic time difference often determines whether an emergency becomes a brief, manageable incident or a life-altering catastrophe. Yet most seniors rely entirely on active communication methods, phones they may not be able to reach or medical alert buttons they might not be wearing at the critical moment. Frank, 78, created a simple signal system with his neighbor using window blinds, which alerted them when he suffered a stroke and couldn't reach his phone. Without a passive alert system like Frank's, you could be stranded for days before anyone realizes something is wrong, dramatically reducing your chances of recovery. The Administration for Community Living reports that approximately 28% of seniors living alone go 3 or more days at a time without speaking to or seeing another person. This isolation, while preserving independence, creates a dangerous situation where emergencies can go undetected for dangerous periods. Establishing the neighborhood safety network involves creating a system of passive signals that will alert others if your routine changes. The simplest version requires arranging with a trusted neighbor or nearby family member to watch for a daily signal that you're okay, such as opening your blinds by 8 a.m., moving an object on your porch, or turning a specific light on and off. The beauty of this system is its simplicity and reliability. If the signal doesn't occur, your contact knows to check on you, even if you can't actively call for help. The system serves as a safety net that works whether you're conscious or not, mobile or immobile. You'll need to select a highly visible signal that's part of your normal routine, choose a consistent time frame, and establish a clear protocol for what your contact should do if the signal doesn't appear. Whether that's calling you, coming to check, or in some cases, contacting emergency services directly. Speak with a trusted neighbor today to implement this life-saving system before you need it. The conversation takes less than 5 minutes, costs nothing, and creates an incredible safety net that functions 24/7. Remember that emergencies often strike when we least expect them, and the most effective safety systems are those already in place before crisis hits. Don't postpone this simple conversation. It might be the most important 5 minutes you spend this week. Emergency Technique 4. The Voice-Activated Emergency Protocol. What would happen if you couldn't reach any of your emergency devices or phones? This scenario occurs more frequently than most seniors realize, particularly with emergencies that happen between rooms or that immobilize you in awkward positions. Emergency medicine specialists at Harvard Medical School recommend that every senior living alone have at least one voice-activated emergency system as backup for situations when movement is impossible. Their research indicates that approximately 35% of senior emergency situations involve circumstances where the person cannot physically activate traditional help buttons or reach telephones, making voice-activated systems not just convenient, but potentially life-saving. Dorothy, 83, fell between her bedroom and bathroom, but was able to activate her voice-controlled system to call her daughter despite being unable to move. Without voice-activated backup systems, any injury that limits your mobility could leave you completely unable to call for help. The Journal of Emergency Medicine published a study showing that seniors with voice-activated emergency systems received medical attention an average of 3.5 hours sooner than those without such systems. This time difference is particularly crucial in emergencies like strokes, heart attacks, or falls with fractures, where every hour of delay can significantly impact recovery outcomes. Setting up a voice-activated emergency protocol involves configuring smart speakers or specialized senior alert systems to respond to specific emergency phrases that will contact help even if you can't reach a device. Many seniors don't realize that the smart speakers already in their homes can be programmed for emergency functions through simple skills or routines. The process involves 3 key steps. First, select and install the appropriate voice-activated technology, whether a mainstream smart speaker or a specialized senior emergency response system with voice activation features. Second, program specific emergency commands that are easy to remember under stress, but unlikely to be triggered accidentally. For example, phrases like, "Hey Google, I need help now," or "Alexa, call emergency contact," can be configured to automatically dial family members, neighbors, or emergency services. Third, regularly test the system to ensure it recognizes your voice, even when speaking from unusual positions or in a distressed tone. Set this up immediately. It takes less than 30 minutes but could save your life. According to the Consumer Technology Association, voice-activated emergency systems have become increasingly reliable, with recognition accuracy rates now exceeding 95%, even for seniors with speech affected by conditions like stroke or Parkinson's disease. These systems function 24/7, don't require you to wear anything, and work regardless of where you fall or what position you're in, making them one of the most reliable safety nets available to seniors living independently. Emergency Technique 5, the 3-location emergency kit. Why do emergency responders say that the location of your emergency supplies is just as important as what's in them? This insight comes from decades of emergency response experience showing that many seniors have emergency supplies, but cannot access them during actual emergencies. According to the American College of Emergency Physicians, seniors who have accessible emergency supplies can reduce complication risks by up to 60% while waiting for help to arrive. This dramatic difference occurs because most emergencies restrict mobility, making a single emergency kit in an inaccessible location essentially useless when you need it most. William, 76, kept mini emergency kits in 3 locations, which allowed him to access critical supplies when he was stranded in his bedroom after a severe storm knocked out power. Having a single emergency kit in an inaccessible location is essentially the same as having no emergency kit at all when you're in crisis. The National Institute on Aging reports that seniors who cannot access water, critical medications, or basic first aid supplies while waiting for emergency assistance face significantly higher complication rates, particularly during weather emergencies or after falls that restrict movement to a single room. Creating the 3-location emergency kit system means assembling 3 small emergency kits containing essential medications, water, non-perishable food, a flashlight, and emergency contact information, and strategically placing them in your bedroom, bathroom, and main living area. Each kit should be positioned at accessible height, not on high shelves or in low cabinets that would require significant bending or reaching. Include at least a 3-day supply of any critical medications, clearly labeled with instructions in case emergency responders need to administer them. Add a small water supply, high-energy non-perishable snacks, a flashlight with working batteries, an emergency contact list with medical information, and a whistle or personal alarm to signal for help. The Federal Emergency Management Agency recommends also including copies of important medical documents, including a medication list, allergies, and medical conditions that first responders would need to know. Assemble these life-saving kits today. They could mean the difference between a manageable situation and a life-threatening crisis. The entire process takes less than an hour, but provides protection that works regardless of which emergency you face or where in your home it occurs. Remember that in emergency situations, your mobility is often compromised, making preparation and strategic placement of emergency supplies an essential part of living independently as a senior. These 5 emergency techniques, the 10-foot rule, floor-to-standing recovery method, neighborhood safety network, voice-activated emergency protocol, and 3-location emergency kit, form a comprehensive safety system designed specifically for independent seniors. By implementing these strategies, you're not giving up your independence, you're protecting it. With these simple preparations in place, you can continue enjoying living in your own home with confidence and peace of mind, knowing you've taken practical steps to protect yourself in emergency situations. Have you ever experienced an emergency while alone? Share which of these techniques you plan to implement first in the comments below. If you found these potentially life-saving techniques valuable, hit the like button and subscribe for more practical advice designed specifically for seniors living independently. Share this video with other seniors in your life. This information could literally save someone you care about. Remember, preparation isn't about fear, it's about freedom. Stay safe and independent, friends.